Welcome to lesson 8 on watercolor reflections. Now, today we are going to look at how to paint reflections. I'm going to show you 2 different ways that you can do it, and just don't overthink it. So the most important thing when you are painting watercolor reflections is to just remember to use the same colors that you are using in your landscape or whatever you are painting. You want to use those same colors in your reflection, but just tone down a little bit. So we're just adding a bit more water to it. And then we just add some ripples, and then that's it. So I'm going to show you the first one. We're going to do wet on wet for the reflection. The second one, we're going to do a more wet on dry and dry brush approach. Now both of these have slight different looks to them, so it just depends what kind of look you want in your painting, what you are going for. Okay, so let's get started, and we are first going to do the wet on wet one. So I want you to mix any 3 different colors that you might use when you are painting trees. So maybe put some oranges in there, so maybe a dark green, a lighter green, and an orangey color. You can do a red color as well, or a blue. We just want to mimic those when we are doing our reflection. So let's have a look at those first ones. So let's mix those colors. Just record over here, then you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I am going to use, I've got my microfiber cloth over here. I'm using my Liang paints, and I've got a ceramic palette that I never clean because I reuse the colors. Well, not never. I do clean it sometimes, especially if I want to paint a nice big project and reuse those colors. Okay, and I'm going to use my Princeton brush number 8 round brush for all of these. All right, so let's get started. So I've got like a reddish color here on my palette that I'll use. And then I do have a yellow ochre. That I might use. And then I'm going to mix a dark green color . And I'll mix a lighter green one. I forgot to spray my paints before, and that's why I'm struggling to get the paint out. Let me just give them a spray. Okay. So let's start. I'm just going to do like 5 trees over here, and then we can do their reflections. I might mix a brown as well, just for the bottom part. So I'll do that one first, maybe. Okay, so these trees are just standing on like an island, maybe. It's got a bit of soil on there. You can add some green to this as well. Just drop in some green. Okay, so let's do my trees. I'm going to do a red tree first. And I'm just doing these blotches. Add some directly from... So I'm just adding a bit of color directly from my palette as well. Dropping in some different tones. Okay. So there's tree number 1. Clean your brush. I'm just going to leave a little bit of a gap so this one can dry first. Actually, I'll bring it down just a little bit more. So I'm just lifting up some of the color so it's not too wet. And in between I just wipe my brush on my cloth. Okay, so let's leave a little bit of a gap. I'll do one in yellow ochre, so maybe beginning a bit higher. And let's do another shorter yellow ochre one over here. Maybe it's more fatter tree, fluffy one. Okay, now this is wet, and obviously when I do other colors now it's going to bleed into that. So I'm just going to dry it a little bit. I do want some of it to bleed and blend, but I'll just dry it a tiny bit. Okay, now let's do a dark green one over here. And you can either do it in front of the other one, or if they are blending together, it could be behind. And then I'm going to do my lighter green one over here. Okay, now let's take a little bit of brown and just give each of them a branch or tree trunk, tree trunk. You can make some of it fat, some of it thin. Okay. Okay, now for the reflection, we're using these exact same colors, but we are just going to add more water to our mixture. So just take your brush and drop a drop of water in each one of the colors that you used. Now let's wet the whole bottom area. So just with some clean water, you can touch what you've done there, that's all good. And I'm also going to lift my paper just a tiny bit. So now, using the same colors as what I have at the top, just a little bit watered down, I'm dropping in those colors and just helping them on a little bit to go downwards. Okay, next one is the green. Lift up so that it can go down. And I'm also cleaning my brush in between and just making sure I'm lifting any big puddles that might be forming. Clean your brush. Next color, yellow ochre. Clean your brush. Next color is this lighter green. And last one, again, yellow ochre. Okay, and that's just a short tree, so I don't want the reflection to go much longer. Okay, now you can use your cloth to lift up some of these puddles that formed. You can lighten some of the areas if you want. Now we want this to dry just a little bit, so I'm going to use my hair dryer. But let me first put in just a bit of brown underneath each one. Okay, so I'm just giving it a quick dry. Okay, now you can go in with any color that you want to use for your water. I like to use a nice dark blue. And I'm just going to first my horizon line. So I'm just adding first here my horizon line, because that will have a reflection as well, which you can make green, of course. And then I'm going to go in with a little bit of dry brush. So dry brush, I'm just putting paint on the tip of my brush over here. And I'm just adding ripples in the water. Larger as you come closer to the front. And then dry your brush in between and just go over the ones that you've made. And be sure to do a little bit here on the side as well. And do remember, like I told you in class as well, look at your painting through a camera, like take a photo of it, or I look through mine on my camera, my viewfinder up here at the top, and just have a look at it and see whether it looks the way you want it to look, because looking at it through a camera can really sort of show you areas that you might need to work a little bit more, or that you might need to soften. I'm just softening some of these. But that's basically it. So that is our first one, wet and wet reflection. Okay. Second one, I'm just going to do like, let's say here's a shrub or a mountain or a little hill, and then there's a tiny house sticking out. It's got a nice red roof maybe. Let's do a nice big window on this side, maybe. It's got a door. Just something simple. Sorry for my dog barking. Freya, kom hier zo. Freya, kom hier zo. Kom liefie, kom. Kom cielo. Hier zo cielo. Hier zo cielo. Okay. You're now YouTube famous, yeah. Okay. I don't know, something in those lines. Not really painting, drawing according to perspective now. Anyway, okay. Does it look right? In case. So door, maybe a door frame. Okay, we'll do some trees. And some trees coming out here. Okay, so a bit more complicated picture to work from, but let's keep it simple. So I'm gonna go dark green here. Paint the roof. Now you'll also notice that I'm painting with quite a large brush, and some of the things I'm doing is small, but I found that a large brush helps me not to overthink and not do too much detail, because you can't, you have a really large brush. So it helps you to sort of be a bit more intentional about every line and not overthink it. And also not be too perfect. Okay. Just gonna add some darker areas in my trees as well. Okay, some trees in the back. Freya! Hey! Thought she was gonna bark again. Okay, for the windows, I'm just going to do a bit of dry brush just to get some texture on them. And same with this door, brown. Okay, and then lastly, focus here is, of course, our reflection. So don't want to get too technical with this. Let's just add some Okay, anyway, something in those lines. Okay, so this time we are doing our reflection, but we are not doing it wet on wet. So I'm going to go in again with the same colors that I had before, but lighter as well. And I'm just doing little ripples, sort of wanting to keep the shape that I have at the top. Okay, so we'll do the roof. So just these little lines that we've got. And they can bleed together. You can let them blend. Do a little bit of brown for the door over here. Okay, this tree. Okay, and then once you have that, you can start adding just some ripples again and some dark areas and shadows. So again, I like to do this as like a Payne's grey color. You can experiment with different blues if you want a more lighter feel to it. So just doing a couple of darker lines in between. And then I'm just going to do so just dry brush at the moment, blending some of those colors out. Okay, let me look at it through the camera. That looks fine, that looks good. You can add more, you can add less. Have a play with it and see what you like. You can add a sky and have your sky colors here at the bottom as well, reflecting. So totally up to you. Okay, so let's do a project. We're going to paint a boat on a lake and just a calm and beautiful scene. So now this is the Montmartre block, so the opening is just here at the bottom. And I'm going to take this paper off. And let's move on to the next painting. Okay, now for this one, I want you to do a line. So if your paper is in thirds, more or less, so 1/3 from the top, draw a line. And then we are going to draw a boat. Now, let's do a rectangle. Okay, so I'm going to start just about 1/2 centimeter in from the left, and I'm just doing a curved line going to the bottom. And then I make this line double, but I want to merge it about midway and bring them together. Then I am taking my line a little bit up, let's say about 2 centimeters in. That's if you used something like a ruler a 15 centimeter ruler, so I don't want to use that whole space. Bringing the line up just a little. And I'm not explaining this very well. Okay, from the top I'm going to go up a little and then come down to that line. And so this is the front part of my boat. Then I'm bringing that line in and straight towards the boat. That's the inside of my boat. Can't really see if it looks okay. I have to look at it a bit further away. Yeah, it looks fine. Okay, and then we'll do just the side of the boat here is just another line connecting with the bottom. Okay. Let me just see if that looks similar. I might bring it in a bit earlier. Okay. Okay, something like that. And then I'm just going to give this planks. So I'm just following the shapes that I've got here. Do 2 or 3 planks. Same to that side, to the left. Okay, and then we'll do a pole over here. So let's say there's a rope on your boat and it hangs like this and it connects to this pole over here. And then we can do some distant trees. You can do a distant mountain. Let's do like a small island here with some trees on it, because it's all about reflections. Okay, so you can erase your rectangle that you've drawn. You can lighten your image a little bit if you'd like. Okay, so I'm actually going to start with a sky now. Just a simple sky. So let's just, we might just spray it. And let's just drop in some blue. I'll just use my cloth and lighten some of this, because that's where I'm going to put my trees. But you can still very much keep painting your sky there, because your trees will just go over it. Okay. Then I just use a bit of water and I blend this out. So let's do a bit of cloth. And you can create some soft mountains, in some soft clouds, not mountains, soft clouds. There we go. Okay, so there we have it, just a beautiful sky. And I might do the green part for my little island or little piece of land there, because I wanted to bleed into the sky a little bit. Okay, let's do our boat. So I like to do my boat with red, nice bright red. And again, I'm just using this larger brush. And then I am going to add the bottom of my boat now as well. And that I normally like to do with a nice Payne's grey. And it's okay for me for those to touch. That part will be in the water. Might do a Payne's grey for this part as well, just this middle one. And then just remember to do it on the left side as well. Now I'm doing the inside of my boat, and again I'm just using Payne's grey for this part as well, but be mindful not to let it touch your red area, because you don't want these colors now to blend into one and look like one shape. So you can dry your boat in between. So I have a bit of a bleed here, and I'm just going to use a clean dry brush to lift it up. So you can always paint that again once it's dry. Okay. And then a little bit of Payne's grey on this side. I like to do the inside of the boat, the one side a little bit lighter than the other. So let's do a bit of brown just here for my pole. And also here in the middle for the boat. Just going to add a bit more red here. Okay, now let's start by doing our reflection. So I'm just darkening this area a little bit. Okay, so for my reflection I want to use the same colors that I've got there. So a little bit of blue first. And we want to again do a bit of dry brush. So I'm wiping my brush in between to get rid of some of the paint so I don't have so much on my brush. And now I need a little bit of red, but we do need this watered down. We don't need it so wet. And then we need a little bit of brown so we can sort of simulate this. And we also need brown for our pole over here. So just little lines. That's all I'm doing, little lines. Okay. Now while this dries, let me just fix this a little bit. Remember, you can always lift up color with a clean brush. So, okay. While that dries, let's do some trees in the distance. So I'm going in with a bit of a darker green. And these are just small trees that we have here. It's on this little hill. So I'm using some different colored greens because I don't want them to just look exactly the same. Can use a little bit of yellow ochre in between. And we can use a little bit of blue to give us an idea of some background trees. And I'm just letting these bleed and do their thing. Okay. And we can lift up where it's gone too crazy. Maybe a little bit of red. Okay, so now we need to sort of mimic those colors. I'm going to do a little bit of red. Okay, yellow ochre. So wherever you see the yellow tree at the top or that color at the top, you're just doing that same color at the bottom. Try and keep in the same direction. If you've done your reflection just straight ahead, keep the same. Don't do them nice going skew or something like a shadow. Just try and keep to the same. Okay, now I'm going to add a bit of darker color here and let that also blend in because there would be a shadow there too. Don't forget about your shadows if you're doing reflections. They're still there. You can have little tree trunks, just doing them with a dark blue, not all in one line up and down. Okay, and then I'm using this same blue just to create my horizon line. And then I'm going to do dry brush technique, but very light and quite wet in the beginning. We can build onto this. And I'm sort of going to go over what I've got here. Just want little lines. So I'm just using water now because I do have a little bit of color on my brush. I'm just using water to spread this color further. So you don't want a big halo around your boat, so you can go up nicely close to your boat. Okay, if you run out of color, grab some more and just go again, add more water to soften it again. You do want to keep some of those white spaces that you've got in there. Just using water, a little bit of color. So it's sort of a wet on wet, but we are painting as we go. And then here under your boat you can add some more color as well. So using lots of water to paint this water, giving it a nice soft look. Now if your boat was still a little bit wet and you found it you know, sort of bleeding into your lake, we can always just wait for it to dry and then add some more details again. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so now at this point I want all of this to dry, and then I'm just going to do a little bit of details with a pen. Let's take a black fine liner. So this is a 01. So just outlining my pole and doing the rope. Tying it to my boat. Now this will have a shadow as well, so let's first outline my boat over here. Okay, and here where my colors have bled into the lake, I'm just going over it with the pen. Okay, and so you can do your trees if you want to. I don't think it's necessary. I might just do some lines here if you do like the look of the lines. So we just need to do a reflection for our rope over here, and for this I'll use a smaller brush, just a little line brush, and I might just do a really soft I'm going to use dark blue, but I just want to use a little bit of it. So if you think, let me see if you can see this. So if your pole is over here and the reflection's over here, it will need to go from this reflection to your boat's reflection. So we'll follow that sort of. And if you want to give the idea of this actually lying on top of the water or close to the water, you'll need to get quite close to that as well. So let's just add the rope into my reflection here, and then I'm doing these little so you can just sort of do these little squiggly lines, goes almost all the way to the rope. Okay, so this is a Montmartre detailer brush, and I bought a whole set of this. They're really not they were quite cheap, but they're really nice to do very fine things with them. And that's basically it. So keep it soft, keep your color soft. You can add more lines to this, you can add more white to it, you can do more dry brush to it. Have a play with various techniques, have a play with the wet on wet, have a play with the other one, wet on dry, and just see what you like. And it also depends on, of course, what kind of atmosphere you want to create for your painting. So I hope that you've learned something today. I hope you had some fun painting with me, and thank you for watching.